Yuki Tsunoda just hit rock bottom, and it happened on one of the most revealing circuits in Formula One. At the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona, he qualified 20th, last, dead last, on a circuit that's widely considered the best benchmark of a car's raw performance and a driver's ability to extract it. No traffic, no wet track, no red flags, just a clean, straightforward qualifying session. And Tsunoda was the slowest of all 20 drivers. That performance didn't just raise eyebrows, it raised real questions about his future, about Red Bull's driver program, and about the brutal reality of being Max Verstappen's teammate. Let's be clear, Red Bull isn't in crisis because of Tsunoda, but he's definitely not helping. Max Verstappen is fighting tooth and nail to keep the team in the title race, and he's doing it with minimal support. The Constructors' Championship is won by consistent double-point finishes, not one-man shows. And right now, Red Bull is a one-man show. Tsunoda's fall-off isn't just about one bad lap. This has been brewing for weeks. At Imola, he crashed the car. In Monaco, he failed to make it out of Q2, despite several top drivers underperforming. And now in Barcelona, the worst result of all, a clean lap with zero mistakes, yet he was still dead last. What makes it even more frustrating is that Tsunoda seemed satisfied with the lap. He actually said it felt clean and that he was happy with it.
Always hard to be on the plan, and there's definitely a lap that I could have done slightly better as well. So, in that sense, qualifying was a very, very, very tough but tough for me especially. But at least until FP2, FP3, I was fighting quite close, and to be honest, pace was probably best ever. So it's getting there.
That's not the kind of mindset Red Bull wants to hear. This is a team that expects excellence. If your best effort puts you at the bottom of the grid, that's not a setup issue. That's a performance issue. Yes, Yuki claimed there were problems with grip throughout the weekend. He said the car was unpredictable and that no amount of setup changes made a difference. That happens. Barcelona is a demanding circuit and it punishes instability. But other drivers managed to make progress, and more importantly, they weren't P20. At this level, you either adapt or you get left behind. Let's not forget, Tsunoda is in his 6th Formula One season. He's not a rookie. He's had more time in the Red Bull system than most drivers ever get. He's worked with top engineers. He's driven in every type of condition. And yet, when the moment came to step up, to finally earn his spot at Red Bull Racing, he stumbled. If we're being honest, Red Bull knew this was a gamble. They needed someone to fill the second seat next to Max after Perez's inconsistencies. Yuki had shown flashes of talent, particularly earlier this year at Racing Bulls. He's aggressive, he's entertaining, and when he's on form, he can scrap with the midfield. But consistency, that's always been the missing piece. And Red Bull doesn't hand out second chances. If you look at their history, they are brutal with second drivers. Pierre Gasly was dropped mid-season. Alex Albon was sent to the simulator after one rough year. Even Sergio Perez, who has more wins than any second driver since Ricciardo, faces constant scrutiny. Helmut Marko recently commented on Tsunoda's situation. He said nothing is guaranteed for 2026 and described Yuki's job being Verstappen's teammate as the hardest in Formula One. That wasn't just a general statement, that was a warning shot. And Marko doesn't bluff. Christian Horner, always a bit more diplomatic, said, "Yuki needs confidence," and that he's still settling in. But that kind of language is what Red Bull uses when they've already started looking elsewhere. Publicly, they'll support you until the next young driver comes knocking. And that knock may already be here. Because behind the scenes, Isack Hadjar is rising fast. The French rookie has been consistent, composed, and most importantly, he's delivering under pressure at Racing Bulls. Helmut Marko called him the revelation of the season. When Red Bull starts talking like that, it usually means they're preparing a promotion, so the writing might be on the wall for Tsunoda. But let's pause for a second and ask, is this really all his fault? Let's look at the facts. Since Daniel Ricciardo left the team in 2018, no one has managed to properly partner Max Verstappen. Gasly couldn't cope. Albon was overwhelmed. Perez had one decent title push in 2022, but even that faded quickly. Part of the issue is that the Red Bull car is built around Verstappen. He likes a very specific style, sharp front-end turn-in, aggressive rotation, and a car that dances on the edge. It's a setup that makes Max look like a superhero, but it's borderline undrivable for most other drivers. So when we judge Tsunoda or any Red Bull second driver, we need to ask whether the car is actually allowing anyone else to shine. Even Carlos Sainz, who was reportedly approached by Red Bull last season, declined the offer. He said they couldn't reach an agreement and implied that insiders know why. That's code for he didn't want to be a number 2, because at Red Bull, that's what you are. Max is the system. Now imagine stepping into that environment as Yuki Tsunoda. You're expected to support a generational talent, match his pace, and bring in points without ever really being the focus. All while driving a car that doesn't suit you. That's a tough gig. And if you fail, there's no cushion, no demotion, no rehab year. You're just out. That's the terrifying part of Yuki's situation right now. If Red Bull drops him, he doesn't have many options left. Honda might try to place him at Aston Martin as part of their upcoming engine deal, but that's far from a done deal. If that doesn't happen, we could be watching Tsunoda's final season in Formula One. Let that sink in for a moment. A driver who just a few months ago was the breakout story of the midfield, on the brink of being out of the sport completely. That's how fast things move in Formula One. But here's the twist. He can still save it. Yuki's ceiling is high. When he's confident, when the car is balanced, he's lightning quick and fearless in wheel-to-wheel battles. He needs to rediscover that version of himself, and fast. That means better qualifying. That means consistent top 10 finishes. And most of all, that means closing the gap to Max. He doesn't have to beat Verstappen. That's not the expectation. But he needs to be close enough that Red Bull sees value in keeping him. Because right now, being over a second off in qualifying is waving a big red flag. So the question is, can Yuki Tsunoda pull off a comeback? Or are we witnessing the slow, painful end of his F1 journey? We want to know what you think. Is Yuki being treated unfairly, or is this just the harsh reality of racing at the top level? Who would you put in that second Red Bull seat? Lawson, Hadjar, someone else? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit like if you want more deep dives like this one. And if you're still here, check out the next video on your screen, because trust us, this F1 season is just heating up.